You're watching Medfield TV, community shows.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm surprised at such a large turnout. I didn't expect it, particularly at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a rainy day. My name is Tony Santori. I'm chair of the Senior Housing Study Committee, and there are two other fellow members of the committee here with me, Jerry Kazinjian and Ann Thompson. And there are a couple of other members, Steve Dragatakis, who's not here, is working, and Chris Rummel. He's probably been working, and Patty and Paul Pascal, those are the committee members. Before I get into the presentation, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an introduction about how I wound up in this position right now today. Way back when my wife and I got married, after a couple of years, we started to look for a house to move to. And we kept moving out to the suburbs to find a price that would meet our budget. We finally found a home in Medfield. We moved there in 1968. And so next March, we'll have been in there for 50 years. Raised two kids. Kids went to the school. We're empty nesters. We like our house. We like Medfield. We'd like to downsize. A lot of people that we know have moved to Norfolk, Pin Oaks, and River's Edge. And but at first I wasn't very impressed with those housing, and I kind of discounted it. But then one Sunday afternoon, you know how it's kind of a no football Sunday, and we said, let's go look at some houses. They were having an open house. And over in Norfolk, we decided to go over there and just take a look, you know, see what's going on. And we met a very nice realtor. I won't mention his name, but he's in the room. We looked at the house. It wasn't anything we were interested in, but he said, you know, there's a house on the market. Original price, I think it's $489. It's one of those ranch models, open plan. We said, sure, we'll take a look at it. So we went over there and fell in love with the unit. It was up for sale. They were looking for a quick sale. And this is how I first got introduced was, okay, now what do? I know I like the house. The price is reasonable. I don't have $500,000 in my pocket. I wasn't really ready to sell my house. I tried to get a loan from the big bank in town. That didn't work. Tried to get a loan from the small bank in town. That didn't work. Tried to get a loan from the VA. That didn't work. So finally, I just gave up and I said, this isn't going to work, and I'm going to have to find another way to move into a house. And then I got interested in the 40B housing and what that was all about, and the projects that were built in Medfield. And I said, well, maybe those would be nice units for downtown. My wife would like that near the library. But when we found out what the price was, and we figured how much our house was worth, we sold it. We figured, this isn't going to work. These units, they're not for us. And anyway, at the last town meeting, we had an article put in that asked the selectmen to appoint a senior housing study committee. And I raised my hand and made some comment about, you know, we need 40S seniors, that kind of housing. Not like 40B for low income and affordable. How about taking care of the people in Medfield? And I did have a conversation with somebody on another committee, and I said, you know, forget about the development you're going to do around town. You're thinking about how much money you can get from the developers who sell the land or from the taxes. Think about the people who lived here for many years. And I thought this would be the appropriate time to present it to the seniors who are going to be most impacted by this. The mission statement we had for the study was to define Medfield seniors. Who are the Medfield seniors? What do we know about them? We wanted to find out their demographics, their income, their current home equity, their housing preferences as they age, and their available housing options. This was the focus of the study. One of the things you probably already know is that there's a graying of the population in the country, and particularly in Medfield. We're living longer thanks to better medical care. A Harvard study said that by 2035, 1 out of 3 American households will be headed by somebody aged 65 or older. So we're all getting older and grayer, and the fraction of the senior population is growing. This is a chart that shows the population trends by age cohort in Medfield. It starts at 1990, 2000. These are the annual census. These are the projections for 2020 and 2030. And in particular, look at the age 50 to 64, what it was in 90, 1,500, then it's over 3,000. 65 plus, it was only 866. Now it's 1,627. And you look at the projections, particularly for people 65 and over, they're projecting that by 2020, which is only 2 years from now, it's going to be 2,000, and it's going to grow to 2,842. There's going to be a lot more of us. We're going to have to open up the whole room back there. And if you look at the growth that's projected between 2020 and 2016, there's down here, it says 65 plus, 2020, you're adding 374 people. And by 2030, you're going to add about 1,275 people. So there's more of us. And thank the good Lord, we're living longer. This is another chart that just shows the growth of the senior population. The gray blue on the bottom is 49 and under. The red is age 50 to 64. And then the age 65 plus is up top with the green. This is the fraction. And you can see that in 2016, it's like 38%. It's a pretty good, sizable fraction of the population. And then it's going to grow to 44% in 2020. And as I said, 2 years from now. Now I wanted to play a game with you all. I call it the senior downsizing game. It's an easy game. You might be a winner, but you might be a loser. And the kind of things we're going to ask in the game is, what's my annual income? What's my current home worth? Can I get a mortgage for my new home? What are the closing and moving costs? What housing is available in Medfield? And what's the bottom line? Senior incomes. This is information from Nielsen. And you can see that age 55 to 64, 2010 was 150, 2020 is estimated to go to 174, 65, 60, 86, 10, expected to go to 100,000 by 2020, and then 75 to 84, 43,000, 50,000, and 66,000. One of the things that I realized when we did all this, and I said, who are these people that are making $150,000? Well, these are the seniors that are still working. Guys like me are retired. All I have is Social Security and 401k. So I'm not living large.
Tony, that's a household income, so it's
Yeah.
more than one person.
Could be in some cases, yeah.
Nationwide, not just Medfield.
This is Medfield.
Medfield only.
Medfield only. A lot of rich people in Medfield. This is another chart that just shows the growing of the age groups over the year between 2000 and 2010 and projected to 2020. Now, another key factor was the assessed value of your home. You're going to go out and sell your house. You need to know what you're going to get for it. You're going to try to buy something someplace else for a certain amount of money. We took the data from the town for 2016 of the assessments. We did it by age brackets, again, 55, 64, 65, 74, 75, 84, 85 plus. These are the number of households that fall into those brackets. And then these are the assessments. And you can see that those 55 to 64, the average assessment is about 560. As you get older, the assessments drop down because these are people who may have lived in town for quite a while and they bought smaller houses and they're worth less money. And one of the side effects was the 68% of seniors have lived in Medfield for over 30 years. So there's a lot of longevity in the town, and people like Medfield, they want to stay in town. It's just that we need to find a way to get some response from the elected officials. One of the things that I didn't know about was what a closing cost and moving cost. If you sell your house for $500 You're not gonna walk out of the street, go down and buy a new house and have $500,000 in your pocket. You have broker's fees, document fees, repairs, and when you buy the cost, you might buy a house, you might have to have a home inspection, title insurance, admin fees, etc. It could be close to $40,000. It could be a lot less, but it could be that much money. So for a typical house, $500,000, less the selling buying cost of $40,000, you get $460,000 left. Okay? Now, and I put down now what? For those of you who are familiar with the real estate in Medfield, you know that's not going to buy you very much. If you're looking for a home, if you want to rent, you can rent, and you saw some housing that was put up on North Street by Tom Sweeney. What are they asking for rent? $2,200? $3,000? 23.
Affordable is between, that's gonna go over the,
Yeah.
and that's gonna, they don't know yet,
Okay, so carrying on my story, do you guys, anybody here have $5,000 cash that they can put down on a house or a condo? $500,000. And I have 500. Can you cash in a 401k or an annuity without paying a lot of taxes, income taxes? Can you get a mortgage or a bridge loan or VA loan?
Just like you, Tony, they say no.
Yeah, I got a lot of runaround from big banks, little banks, and the bottom line was nada. The other thing was, some people said, well, you got to sell your house and move to an apartment and then wait to buy a house. And I know people that have done that. Tony Filippelli did that, moved to Westwood, and then built a house, not in Medfield, he built a house down in Atlanta. But, you know, for myself, I really didn't feel like I wanted to move into an apartment, because I figured once I move to an apartment, I'm never going to get out. I'm going to stay there, and that's going to be the end of it. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, but the available Medfield housing stock. So here you are, this couple or single person, you sold your house, maybe you got $500,000 clear. Is there anything in town that you could find that might be under $500,000? No, I don't think so, not very much. How about North Street, Hospital Road? They built those nice condos over there. Those are $550,000 to $800,000. And then Medfield Village down on Route 27, those nice houses there, little cookie box houses, those are $1 million. So when you look at things, they really don't have much to offer. Somebody who's in my situation, probably in a lot of your situations, financially and where you are and what you're looking for. What are the choices for Medfield seniors? Age in place. What a lot of us are doing. That's just the way it is. Move out of town, go to Norfolk with all your other friends that have moved over there, and they're doing a lot of building of housing in Norfolk. A lot of it is townhouses, apartment houses. You're going to see that. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to come up with a Medfield solution. One of them could be to use town-owned land for reasonably priced units. We'll get more into that. Just to sidetrack a little bit, we did do a survey. I think we had 140 people that responded to the survey. What we found out was that the senior population is increasing dramatically. Seniors wanted to stay in Medfield. 70% of the respondents said they don't want to move from Medfield. 68% have lived in town for over 30 years. Senior home assessments were from $465 to $560. Seniors 65 plus have limited income. They favor single level apartments or homes, single family or condos. And 70% seek a next home price between $300 and $450. Now, when you think about that price range, $300 to $450, that's out of the question. You're not going to get that in Medfield. Not unless something happens with the state or the town, and they make provisions to provide affordable housing.
Tony, it's the land cost. A
Yeah.
lot costs $300,000 in this town.
Right. We're going to get to that. You're reading my mind. Let me go back to the survey. We had 140 some odd people that responded. And we did have in the survey a place where you could make a comment. And I just picked out some what I thought were appropriate comments for this situation. And I'll read them off quickly. I'm a third generation of my family to live here. Like my parents, I'm not going to be able to afford to continue to live here. We are part of what made this town a wonderful place to live, and as a result, we're being forced out. Another person, this is disgraceful. New construction for seniors in Medfield would be most welcome. Thank you for working on this and making reasonably priced quality units available as soon as possible. I've waited many years for the town to take an interest in senior housing. After years of paying high property taxes for our schools with no one in the family attending, it's fantastic our town is also looking at the older generation. Thank you. Just a sampling of what people said. Now, let's get back to what kind of senior housing is planned for Medfield. You may know there's a lot of things going on in town. There's the state hospital property. There's Hospital Road is under construction. Any of you who've lived up there have heard the blasting. Let's talk about Medfield State Hospital. I did ask somebody from the committee if they wanted to come and talk about it, but I was able to get this information from their website. They have two scenarios. If you remember, they had that open house down at the high school, and they had the schemes up and people voted. Well, they whittled it down to two scenarios. And this is one, I don't know if you can read the fine print, but they got apartment condos. And right down here is senior living. And I went to a meeting one time and I tried to get somebody to explain, what does senior living mean? It can mean different things to different people. Well, they said it's assisted living in a nursing home. Now, there's a lot of people in this room who say, I'm not ready for a nursing home. I'm not ready for assisted. I can't afford $10,000, $12,000 a month to go into assisted living. I'll be broken in a couple of years. So this is what they're thinking about for senior living, which I disagree with. I don't think it's right. All that land up there, I know they want to use it for walking paths, but it could be used for senior housing. The town owns it. We paid for it. The other scheme is similar, but they have a bigger footprint here, which is senior living. I'm sure that they're talking about assisted living or a nursing home. And I think that the state hospital people, the committee, are looking to have a developer come in and develop it along guidelines. Now, most of these developers are going to look to make money. They're going to make money with apartments. They're going to make money with assisted living facilities. Any of you that have seen the construction that just started on Dover Road, just past the town line into Millis on the left-hand side, they just threw a whole bunch of trees down. That's going to be assisted living. So, you know, there's nobody really building ranch units, senior appropriate housing. When I say appropriate housing, I mean one level. You don't want stairs. You want corridors to be wide enough for a wheelchair. You want all the other handicapped features of the home to be included. There's one other little wrinkle on the housing. And this has to do, I don't know if you remember, but the hospital committee took under their purview lot 1, which is right outside the window, straight ahead, and also a lot 3, which is right around here, which is in front of the Kingsbury entrance. So those two pieces were included in the study. And I originally thought that they were going to do this because they needed to get some money. They could sell this town land to a developer and come up with some ready cash that could be used as a hospital. Now they claim that's not the reason why they put their tentacles around these two pieces of property. But anyway, they have done some studies. They did a wetlands study that we partially advised them that they ought to take a look at. And this is about a 9-acre lot right out the back window. About half of it is wetlands. So you got about 4 acres that you could build something. It's mostly right up in here where you could build housing. And then there's a piece over here which is a couple of acres that you could build something. And they have some ideas. They're not bad. And the ideas are that in front of the Kingsbury, they're going to put in 55 plus senior 40B apartments, 42. So it's going to be like the park, probably 3, 4 stories, who knows. And then over here, you're gonna have 55 plus senior appropriate housing, 15 to 16 units, okay? And once again, I'm hung up on words. When they say senior appropriate, to me, that means they're gonna build first floor masters with a second bedroom upstairs. And they're gonna say that that's senior appropriate. It's not, it's developer appropriate. This is what they wanna build, they can get the maximum amount of money out of the property that they have. This is the conundrum we're in, and the 40B doesn't help us. It just encourages more developers to come out here and look for parcels, buy the land, and jam a whole bunch of housing in there, and they will get people to come in and pay $800,000 to live in Medfield. And you see a lot of people who come from the surrounding towns, they've got a lot of dough, and they can afford to buy those units. The rest of us are kind of like out in the cold, and it's our town, and we paid for the land. Something's wrong here. People have asked me about why can't the seniors go over to the park, and I know some of them, not in here, but there are some people that I know who have moved there, and they like it. It's a very nice unit, but it's income limited. You have to have a minimum amount of income, and you can't have very much in liquid assets. Same thing on 40B, housing. This was a rude awakening to find out, what's affordable housing? So affordable housing, you have to have not more than $62,000 income for a couple, and your existing home must not be worth more than $175,000. Now, who do you know in town has a house worth less than $175,000? Nobody. So 40B does not apply to us, homeowners, seniors. It applies to people from other communities who want to come into Medfield, Framingham, City of Boston, want to come out to Medfield. They got great schools. Move into a 40B apartment. You get a reduced rate. It's a great deal for them. For the seniors who live here, pay the taxes, not so much. Somebody mentioned about, Dan and I mentioned about the biggest bugaboo driver of housing costs in Medfield is the high price of land. And we talked to a developer, and he said, if you can reduce the price of the land, he can build houses, units, condos for under $400,000. And I know that it's expensive, but the developers will pay the big money to buy it because they know they can sell the units for $700,000, $800,000. What are the possibilities? Some of you may remember in the town meeting, we voted for a affordable housing trust. We set it up, and then later on, I think the town contributed $1 million to the trust. So the trust is sitting there. There's a committee, Affordable Housing Trust Committee. I think Ann is on the committee. And they have met. And I think what the idea was, the money was going to be there, so in case a developer wanted to come to Medfield and wanted to do something reasonable, and maybe it had affordable housing in it, that money could be used as a sweetener to help the developer build those houses in Medfield. One of the things that the committee thought about was maybe because the town owns all this land around town, maybe the town should put land in the trust. Money's okay, a lot of money, $1 million. Why can't we put the land in the trust and then use the trust mechanism to then make that land available to developers, maybe at a reasonable cost, so he could build housing for Medfield seniors, build housing for Medfield seniors that are around $500,000 or less, and give preference to Medfield seniors. And I'm thinking of a scheme, and Ann will know about this, the Village of Medfield off Dale Street, Turtle Brook, where the town retains ownership of land, and this is so well kept secret. Those units, those houses are very nice. They're ranch models, most of them. They're a ranch, but they're nice.
And they're caves and then they're colonials, 3 different styles.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah. But the prices are reasonable. I think they're under 500.
The land sale is 460.
460. The town retains ownership of the land, but it gets the price down where you could, if you sell your house for $5, you might have some change left over, and you can still buy one of these units for $460. Ann lives in a nice unit. I've seen it. Maggie Smith lives in one. Very nice little units. There's not a lot of housing there, And usually when they come up for sale, it's a quiet sale, nobody ever hears about it, but it's what happens. The other thing is a local initiative project, LIP, which means that a town can use some of their own land and develop a project that has some 40B in it, but it has a lot of, can have preference for 55 plus, and can have preference for residents of the community. So this is a possible option. Anyway, so I painted a picture of what we saw, what we found. There are issues. I think the seniors of Medfield have got to make themselves heard. You know, if you watch the news, it's always the squeaky wheel, the people that are protesting that get the attention of the politicians, and action gets taken. Yes. You ask the question.
My name is Mary Brogan. I'm a lawyer. I don't live here, but I work here.
Do you want to?
Sure.
Do you want to use the mic?
Why don't you take the mic?
Okay. So the model that I really like that you all might be familiar with is Pond Village in Rentham. If you've ever seen that, it's a nonprofit owned campus with small houses that you buy, but it's the nonprofit owns it, you buy, like share it. And Fox Hill Village is a little bit like that. So you have a very nice home, but you don't have the maintenance issues because there's a condo fee. I think they sell for between $270 and $370, and then you have a place like this that is like a common area where you can all go and have meetings or whatever, and your family gets the money back. It's not an assisted living at all, but the family gets the money back after your death, and it's a nonprofit, so there's not the developer fee motivation, so it stays reasonable. I really like that. There's also a rest home there.
It sounds like you're talking about a continuing care retirement community.
No, not at all. There's no help at all. You don't get any help on campus. You're totally individual. In other words, you have your own little unit with a garage and a little yard, but you don't have to take care of it. So you're paying a fee. It's almost like a condo, but you're at a house instead of a condo. And it's nonprofit owned. I forget the name of the organization that owns it. Is it Rogerson House? The same people who own Rogerson House own it. And because it's a nonprofit, it's great because there's not this like constant raising of the fees and the amounts of money. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll give the mic back, is Fox Hill Village is a nice, it's really fancy, I realize, but it's community owned, so it's a cooperative, everybody owns it. So there's not the assisted living model where the assisted living owner is constantly gouging you for more money. The citizens, the residents decide everything. So that's also a very nice model. That's a corporation model. So I just wanted you to know about those. You probably know already.
What town is that in?
Fox Hill Village is in Westwood.
Oh, I thought you said Rentham.
But it's a nonprofit. I don't know everything, but I just.
I think these are some pretty good ideas, but the catch would be, why can't you do that in Medfield? Why can't anybody do
I
that?
think you can. I think you just need to give people
You need to get some
expertise.
inertia and to overcome the momentum of.
Yeah, and there needs to be a team. I think you need a development team because that model, that corporate model it's definitely repeatable, but you probably need the land. You need the land. I think both Fox Hill Village and the other big one in Needham. They're both nonprofits.
They're not, well,
Nonprofit.
they are non-profit, but they're not affordable.
They're not affordable.
North Hill is so
Right, that's a
expensive.
different model, it's assisted. I mean, maybe you don't want to, the Pond Hill Village, Pondview Meadows, where the pond home is very important. It's also a well-kept secret, people don't even know it's there. It's on 140 in Rentham, near the center.
They won't wait.
Well, people from Medfield moved up there too.
What's that?
A lot of people from Medfield moved up there.
Yeah.
That's
I love that one.
But we could come up with a scheme, like Mary said. Nothing to prevent you from coming up with a scheme. The selectmen have been sitting on this damn thing for so long, they don't want to make decisions. I was insulted the other night at that selectmen's meeting. I didn't want to get up because a lot of people said enough things. I'll tell you, it's It's a disgrace to the seniors in this town, the way they treat them. Between they try to stack this with the veterans officer there. But you know something? That's their problem, not the seniors' problem. We're gonna deal with that, Mary's talking about there. That's a great idea. You can do it right out here. And out there, I was looking at that water situation, that can be solved, and you can get more units per acre up there. I know, that was my grandfather's land. The only time that floods is in the spring or in the winter time.
But it's
Could be
wetlands.
drained, right?
It's wetlands. You can't mess with it.
It's being made wetlands. Because the farms in the old days had draining ditches. They weren't wetlands, they were draining ditches. So the land used to dry up so you could plant in the spring. You had to be a farmer.
I'll have you talk to the conservation lady.
But that's what Gus told you.
Anyway, let me just kind of round it up a little bit. There are options, but I always felt that on the committee, we can tell you what the problem is, and I can point at maybe some solution, but I think it's up to the town, people who work down there, to come up with ideas that fit Medfield seniors. It isn't for us to go around and find developers and find land and do that. That's not our job. People in town hall, the planners, the zoning board, these are the people who should be looking to make these opportunities and come up with these developments that are reasonably priced in Medfield.
Tony, I saw 16 units. Is that what they're talking about? You put the plan up there.
Yeah.
16 units up here, independent living, single-family units. That's all that was proposed?
Yes,
Out of all the land that we have?
right.
That's pretty cool.
It is. When you go up to the hospital and you walk around, you see all this great open space and property. And I know that the younger generation likes to keep it open and walk their dogs and have a garden and have a farm to table. And I always said they're going to have a clown college up there.
Yeah, I saw a huge open space in the back and on the other
Yeah.
side.
But I think you could do the, I mean, I think you could form a little ad hoc committee and then hire a lawyer and put together a
You don't have to know one, but
It's the town. It's the town.
But you know, I mean, I think the town would cooperate. I think the issue with, I've been here 8 years watching this Medfield thing develop, the state hospital. I think they need a developer and a committee that's and a nonprofit that's gonna, I mean, that's how it happens. And then the state will help you, because the state, I can tell you, because I issue for housing, you're dying for Medfield to do affordable units. I mean, they'd rather have family units, but they'll definitely love that Medfield, fancy town, is gonna do
good schools.
good schools, affordable units. And maybe you'll have to do some senior, some affordable. I mean, but they'll be very cooperative, and there's a lot of money in the state to help you. So if you do a nonprofit, if your nonprofit is your anchor, you can get a lot of state money.
A lot of seniors want to move their parents here, grandchildren in here, a little bit. So those units right over here, I don't care what you say about that. You can get more because up above there is a solid ledge. Ledge is nothing today. They can move ledge quickly. You know, you have the idea, instill it in these people because they won't do it. Believe me, we gotta do it. That's all.
Yes, sir.
One of the things we in the committee did, we did meet with the Conservation Commission, with Leslie Willis, and unfortunately, Leslie did barrage that extra land up there. I think what we need from this group of people is to get a kick in the butt on this hospital reuse committee and get them to move a little quicker. We have someone on our committee, Chris Romo, nice young man, 40, 45 maybe. I keep joking that we're doing this for Chris. By the time the hospital committee does something, he'll be the senior. And we'll be long gone. And this is the saddest thing. One of the things that was mentioned by Gus Murphy when he was running for selectman, Gus, a good friend, is we've been sitting on this piece of property over here. What's it called? The Hinkley property? I mean, they were talking about 20 years ago. They were going to get somebody to come in and put a recreation building or something. And nothing is happening. And we're not getting any younger. So what we need to do is come, and they keep putting off this so-called town meeting for the state hospital. was supposed to happen in September. Hey, it's almost November. Now they're talking January. Is it gonna happen in January? I don't know. Will they put it off again? I don't know. They did, now it's not gonna happen in January. And what are we gonna do? We need to start talking to our elected officials and the people on that committee. Maybe we need to start attending their meetings and say, hey, man, why are you dragging your feet? I can tell you why. Because some of the people on that committee would rather see those buildings just crumble and have all that open space to walk their dogs. Well, I hope their dogs enjoy that land. Yeah, I know, they don't want to. And the thing is, we need to act. We need to say, we want it now. We want to see something. You know, remember when we had a meeting, I'm sorry, I think it's a long time. We had a meeting with the builder who wanted to put the assisted living place down by the Peak House. And they had a meeting across the street at the Kingsbury Club. I said to the man that day, you want to be a hero in this town? Build just assisted living place up at the state hospital. You'll be the first developer in there. You'll get the prime piece of land that you want, and maybe things will start happening. And he said, no, we don't want to go that far out of town. He's out of town. But this is what we need to do. We need to get someone to come along and say, I'm ready to build up there. And until that happens, the committee is just going to drag their feet, and we're going to be on the run.
I would agree with that, and I think talking about senior housing is good, but sooner or later, we're going to need some assisted living.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we have no children, so we think of the future and where we're going to end up and who's going to be able to take care of us. So even though you have senior housing, we're, 8 miles, 9 miles away from Norwood Hospital or Leonard Morse, and do you have visiting nurses come in and offer assistance, or, you know, what then? I think you have to look further than just housing. You have to think about healthcare and who might be available to, I'm not expressing it very well, but.
No, but
you know
may
what I'm
I
saying.
just say that Tony referenced the fact that on Dover Road and Bridge Street in Millis, that's only 2 miles from us. They're putting up an assisted living facility there. So, and they're moving quickly. And, you know, are we gonna need another assisted living up on at the state hospital when there's one just outside Medfield, and you're probably gonna pay less money because it's in Millis? So, I mean, it's going up. All those trees are down.
And if you read the news this week, the governor came up and said they need 58,000 affordable units.
Where?
So that, you know, you think Medfield's not gonna get affordable units, you're crazy, because you're gonna get it eventually. The way it's going, because they're gonna be looking at all these towns, what do you got for open space? Open land. So it's something to watch. I was at the assessors meeting this morning, it was Norfolk County assessors. And that's exactly what they were talking about. Is, you know, where's your open space? And they're all talking, you know, east of Dedham. Now it's coming through here, Medfield, and they're looking for it. Like you're saying, but, you know, and the big thing is, they're gonna use units, you know, 900 up, whatever it's gonna be. So you gotta get on to senior affordable living, and there's the place right over there. You can get more than 16 units legally. And I think that's what you gotta work on. You've got a piece of land that's adjacent here. You can put an ideal over there. You're right. An ideal place. Yes, sir.
So I just want to say that sitting next to me is Michael Larkin, and in 2013, Mary and I formed an LLC, and it was called Enhanced Living. And we worked with the Larkin brothers and put together a plan for senior housing in Lot 3. If you remember, they were they were proposing the big soccer field. And we put that together, and I brought our proposal up to town hall, but it was returned to me because they said it was a conflict of interest because I worked here for the town. So Michael, I remember calling you frantically and said, take that proposal, take our names out of it because they weren't going to look at it, and he proposed it. So I want you to speak to what our thoughts were over there, if you would.
And I think you guys look at the exact same concerns. You know, we're talking about something that happened in 2013 and 2017. It's like, as you said, someone said earlier on, this will be built for me in State Hospital. most times this is like a 10-year project, but there has to be some sort of movement in the town to start picking parcels and do something. When we proposed that, and someone mentioned the non-problem model, but that one of the things that the town may not be happy with that is getting the real estate tax and how do we get revenue. So what we proposed in our model was that, you know, it's tax neutral at the moment because the town's getting no money from it. But if we put the house on it, there'll be a tax base on the actual personal property that the house itself. So the town will be getting money for that. But because the land is at zero value, the house can be sold at a way, in essence, a subsidized price. So that's by not buying, I have to spend $1 million for 1 acre. Now I eliminated that one concept. Now all I now is doing is buying the house itself. The land is, you know, at zero value. So that's the one way to get a, you know, a decent house and an affordable price as well. But again, that was something proposed 4 years ago. You know, there's got to be some momentum at the same time within the group here. If things get done, or else we'll be here in another 4 years from now talking about the same thing. Mr. Lockwood, how many units were you thinking about at that time? I mean, 2 acres is 16 on 2 acres is nothing.
We were thinking of single-family, small houses, kind of close together, but everybody having their own yard.
Kind of a cottage, kind of
Yeah.
like a 5,000 square foot lot.
Right.
What size was the unit? Square foot?
You have 13 to 1,500 square feet.
What's that?
That's what Tom said.
Yeah, just doing slabs. Try to eliminate those costs, get rid of the basement. You know, ultimately, it comes down to whatever you and a group wants. You know, it seems like we want the first floor living space. That's what we're doing on our project with the street, but first floor living space. The ranches are a bigger side unit. The ranch is a bigger side unit, which takes up too much space. So you'd have to, you know, redesign it such that you're getting, you know, back to front and more narrow. So you get the narrow units, but it's deeper. So you can get more units in a row and do it that way. But it was one idea we proposed, but again, 5 years have passed since then, and we're still talking about
What do you propose for these seniors? What can they do? What can they do?
I mean, I think everyone talks about the state hospital, but there is other properties in town. I mean, you have lot 3 of the ice house. I mean, someone mentioned, I think in the meetings, they were talking about putting it as a parking lot. That's just, you know, completely crazy idea. You know, there's got to be something done. The town wants to help out as seniors. I mean, the one thing you can do is say, you're going to put, like, just like Fox Hill down in Westwood, and say, hey, you're buying into this house, you know, because ultimately you don't want the next person to get a gain and then sell it for more money. You say, you're buying into this house, it's at X price, there's a certain amount of appreciation when you sell it, and then when you sell it, you know, you can do the model of just like Fox Hill, the same kind of concept. You buy in, you give me your own money, and then at the end of the day, you get your money back. So then the kids are not worried about inheritance issues, they know there's money at the end of the day as well. So there's a lot of different ideas you can do, it's just gotta get done somehow.
I wanted to ask Tom Sweeney a question. Tom, you said your grandfather owns lot 7 behind us,
Right.
and it was dry.
Yeah, but the way it said,
Okay, when we were building the senior center here, we had to keep clear of a
drainage.
brook back there, a drainage.
Right.
So it proves that you know, if we clean out that drainage ditch, we could, you know, drain that whole
We
area.
have all drain, actually, down in the pond eventually.
That's the problem. How will let you do these things? Like you want to clean out drainages, because back in the day, the farmers cleaned them all out. Water flowed, and there was no flooding, and now it's can't clean anything. That really starts to come back.
And the state used to burn it.
Oh, yeah.
They come in, when I was a kid, they found squash over there, they gone. So it's, you know, to me, it's usable land. Again,
Let's
like I say,
get around, it's getting near 5 o'clock. Let's get around people who have questions. Lee, you had a question?
Well, in all this discussion, I'm not aware of the state hospital committee being confronted about this issue with regard to putting up senior housing, just normal housing, as opposed to nursing home or assisted living. Is that true? Have they been, I must say.
I think they're trying to get the most bang for the buck.
But has anybody confronted them or really raised this issue seriously about the lack of, you know, just, I'll say,
I think
senior housing?
we had the meeting at the high school, we had people put up those stickers on the boards, you remember senior housing now, and they got the message that the people wanted senior housing.
But you
So they-
always findings, or the preliminary findings.
Yes.
Yeah, Tony, how do we get from 16 units to 50 or 60 units to have something realistic? To what?
Well, John thinks we can fill in or change the wetland. I'm not sure about that. It'd probably take
Well, I
as
mean,
long.
maybe we look at other sites.
Well,
There's
town
still
hall,
plenty of land up there. There's no reason you couldn't have more up there.
don't forget, that the hospital committee's been meeting for probably 2 or 3 years.
They're not
And they-
listening.
And they have gone around
They're
and
not
around
listening.
and around.
They're not listening.
But they spent a lot of money, and they come to the point where they just say, this is what we want to do, we want to have a development
They
committee.
came up with 16 units plus a couple of cottages, what I've seen.
And the apartment houses. The
That's
apartment
assuming-
house is
that's
42
assuming we want
units.
apartments. The seniors said we don't want apartments.
But a lot of people never, I did a survey on the people that have moved in the last 3 or 4 years and told them, they've gone to a variety, some went to 2-4 houses, some went to 1-4 houses, and I'm amazed how many people said they wish there had been rental apartments available. They were sorry because they said they would have, if they had known what it would be like to downsize and to move, they wish they could have made the final jump right to it and to work.
Everybody's different,
I was very
so.
surprised.
Paul Hinckley in the back room. Paul.
Tony, I'll tell you
Jerry
one
was
thing.
one of the ones that wasn't surprised.
Ann, please. All that land back there, there were never woods there. It was all hay fields. From my father's 10 acres, all the way up to the state hospital where the baseball fields are, the state built all those things. They built my father that 10 acres, for my father, for the last 50 years while they had the cow barns and all that up there. I mean, the only reason they can call it wet now, all that brush grew in there. When it rains, it stays there. It doesn't evaporate. It gets puddles. It doesn't go away. There's a brook way up there, a drainage ditch that used to drain it. I mean, this wetlands thing is, I don't know where they come up on it. You give it to a builder, he'll show you how to put a house up there and they have a hell of a hurry. I mean, I got a
Well, this
drainage
is
ditch that runs right
the
behind
problem
my-
with regulation nation. We got so many regulations, you can't do this, you can't do
Oh, I know
that. You gotta save this, you gotta save that.
But
It
I'll tell you-
stifles the economy, it stifles housing.
But I'll tell you the other thing, these $400,000 affordable houses they think they're gonna get, even without the land, they're still gonna pay taxes on it. You'd get a better deal if the town would drop the senior taxes, let the young people come in that want their park and rec built in their $18 million fire station, and you don't have a person in there that can rescue you.
We could move the seniors into the fire station.
I
Yes, young lady.
I have a question about what the response was when you made your presentation to the selectmen.
Well,
I can
let me give
imagine
you, for
what-
instance, we printed up copies of the draft report, which is basically what we went through here. And we submitted copies on June 15th to the selectmen, to
Right.
all the people in town hall, blah, 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 Representative Denise Garlick. And I got comments from Russ Murby and Gus Murby, and he was interested mainly in what was the demand going to be for a certain kind of housing in the future, condos, for apartments, for assisted living, for whatever. That was the only comment I got. I said to them, I want a written comment or a markup of the report. You're going to talk to me forever, but I mean, if you can't put it in writing, how can I respond? So that's the kind of response I got from the selectmen. I know they're busy, they work, and you know.
But you know, Tony.
Well, two comments about that. I think we need to go back and talk to them again and say there is a significant number of.
What we should do is invite the selectmen to come down here, so it won't be shovel lifted that little room up there in town hall.
Right,
And
right.
get them down here, put them on a dais and say, okay, this is what we think we need. What do you guys come up with? What can you come up with? What can you do for seniors?
And the
Do we
other,
need to go to State House?
the other pressure point locally is surely the State Hospital Planning Committee. And maybe if a group of us went to one of their meetings.
I tell you, I've been to those meetings, some
But-
other people, they are
to
deadly
go-
meetings, they're
Yes.
deadly. You go to one of them, you never want to go to another meeting over there. Trust me, it's a lost evening.
Tony, we were at the meeting with the selectmen that night there, and that's the one I was really mad about. But you know, they were saying to the committee, the selectmen, were saying to the committee that they felt they were going in the right direction. That's the problem, I think. And they were trying to get the service office, the veteran service office, in with the, down here, outreach call.
Outreach.
Right. So, I mean, they try to mix, apples and oranges for one thing, and they think the same way with the hospital. They don't think out of, nobody thinks out of the box. They get in that square box and they stay there. So I could call it a shoebox for the selectmen, I think.
Yes, Pauline.
I like your idea of perhaps requesting or even demanding a meeting of our elected officials with us seniors and packing the house right here. Say, it's time, we want to meet with you. You come to us.
Pauline, that's nice, but they let us say, well, we have a committee that we have given a task to come up with plans for use of the state hospital and including senior housing. That's what they're gonna say. They passed it off to
But
that
they
committee.
didn't respond to Tony.
That's right, they said to us,
So
well, there's a
follow
committee.
up.
But my thing is, the selectmen aren't the people to come. The thing we do is get this state hospital use committee to do something. Or, because it is the most logical place for all the housing, because there was so much land up there. There was so much land you can't believe. And there's plenty of room, so you don't have to scram, no offense, 16 units into a half an acre or something,
16. But I think an easy thing to do is, just like everyone does for every kind of legislation, our citizens can put an article on the warrant, and that's the way, you're not talking to everybody else, it's like nothing, just get together, put the warrant, article on the warrant, and then vote on it.
I think I was
That's
gonna
how it gets
say,
done.
have a little PR article in Medfield, Hometown Weekly, signed by maybe you, Tony, that you had this meeting and this is what you want, and you're would be encouraged. And then I would say form an ad hoc group, you don't have to incorporate or anything, I don't know what you think about that, but start interviewing developers, talk to them, and say, we have this developer who can do this, we have this developer who can do that, and look for different, talk to the people who did Unipond, and we can talk to the Larkins and say, we want this to happen, we want to leverage our resources. We feel like this resource is our resource, and we know there's state resources, and developers have their resources, so.
I agree with you, it needs some kind of action, and what I find is that we have people we pay at town hall who should be thinking of these things.
But you know,
And we are not in the business of developing communities. Maybe you are, maybe the developer is, but,
it's not that hard.
yeah, I know, but you can count on the town for the leadership. If they want to hire a firm or hire a company to come in and lead the effort, fine. But I'll tell you, from my point of view, I spent a lot of time on this committee. And I don't want to join another committee, more time.
We thank you.
I'm just not going to do it. Yes.
So what I wanted to say was that we have a housing production plan in this town, and in that housing production plan, it states that we should have senior housing. So that's your first, channel into the selectmen and into the town hall. It's stated right in that housing production plan that we want senior housing, individual homes, downsizer homes. So that's the first thing you can cite. Number two, the presentation was excellent, but there's no end solution here. I see everyone agrees, but I also think if you're a unified voice, you have an idea of exactly what you want, whether it be single-family homes here, and then in addition, homes at the state hospital, and you have a unified voice and you have a clear picture of what you want, you'll get what you want. And then thirdly, the Affordable Housing Trust was established for this very reason. They have $1 million, and right now all they're doing is getting developers to come to the table to build apartment complexes. So, and they're really not an organization that's going out there and looking and trying to help you. So you've got to go to them with an idea and say, we have an idea for housing. We need the developers maybe need hundreds of thousands of dollars in subsidies to build these types of projects. That's why the Affordable Housing Trust is there.
And that's why I said we should have the land, town-owned land put in the trust.
It could.
The other thing could be also dealing with the State House. As I said at that town meeting, kind of jokingly, that we need a 40S. Maybe it has to happen there, that they have an Office of Elderly Affairs at the State House. I don't know what they're doing.
It could, but you've got to separate affordable from affordable housing, which is like the 40B, versus your housing, which you're looking at, which is a different type of affordable
Reasonably
housing.
priced.
Reasonably priced and age restricted. Now, age restricted housing is difficult to build because builders don't want to do that because they're limited in who is going to buy it. So it's a huge risk for them, okay? So a lot of builders aren't gonna put a lot of money into housing that's age restricted. You understand, it limits the market for them and the profit, so
Most of
that's.
the ones that are built around here that are age restricted, they're filled up. They get resale.
Yeah, you mean the Turtle Brook Way kind of?
That and the stuff that's done in Norfolk and
Right.
other communities.
But the cost of building in Medfield is so much higher in the land.
It is.
So, but what I see here is you have a unified voice. I'm 55, so I'm getting there soon. And I'm really interested and care about the seniors here. And you deserve to get what you want, but if you have a clear vision, a picture of what you want, you'll get it. I think the selectmen aren't going to do it for you. And the Affordable Housing Committee is not going to do it for you. But if you know what you want and you can state what you want, you'll get what you want. And I know that the townspeople will vote for you and with you.
Tony, it's the same thing that built this house right here. The seniors went in, had a plan, they jumped the gun. They were supposed to be third in line to get the building. They got the building because they had a plan and they got the town to vote for it. It's the same here. We ought to split off and just focus on the 2 lots that are not part of the state hospital property. We own that Hinckley piece, we own the piece over here. We can do something with that now. We don't need to be tied in with the state to get their approval.
The selectmen gave the jurisdiction over to the state hospital committee.
Well, it could be taken away.
I would like that.
It could be taken
I
up,
thought
it
there was
could be
some
severed, and that's one of the things that should be done.
Take it to the town. Take it to the town on the town warrant. Specify what you want.
Yeah, sever the projects.
And spell out the project in the warrant, and you've got to start doing it now because the warrant will open the first of the year. So that in April, we walk into town meeting and vote on it. Because the competition you have this April is the Park and Rec Department going for another building, etc.
You could have 2 articles. One, sever the projects, and the second would be to take those 2 parcels and put it into the Affordable Housing Trust.
So I nominate you.
I usually take it a step forward, get a plan that you want to do. You said a plan like this is what we do. We don't come and say, I want the property, and we all think we're going to do it. You get a plan, you design the plan, you put it on the warrant and say, this is what we're voting on. We want this. We want X amount of units at this kind of.
If here's exactly nice, Mr. Larkin, I just don't know if we can do it before the first of the year.
We could have convent by the next
Does it
week.
need a
You're a builder.
do you need a zoning change for that? For that property? You don't need a zoning change?
Not if it's 40B.
Well, he's not proposing 40B. His project is not 40B.
Any kind of housing that's done in Medfield is going to be 40B until we reach the threshold of 10 to 15%.
We can make it, we can specifically, because a lot of towns do this now, they make a certain percentage regardless of portable. Right. So you don't have to 40B, just say, hey, we're going to do 15% or 25%. You can make that guideline regardless. So say we should 10 houses, you can still make 25% affordable. It doesn't have to be 40B.
Okay.
Yeah, but the town wants to get underneath, get away from the yoke of 40B housing. We want to put in more 40B housing so that then we can do whatever we
They'd still
want.
be qualified, even if it's not designated 40B.
Exactly, it doesn't have to be 40B.
It's a yoke of affordable housing, not 40B housing.
So I was in a project in Peabody, it's 15%, and it was automatically affordable, and they count. So it wasn't a 40B, it was 15% affordable, and they were part of the units.
Well, just one thing, the town does like to do apartment houses because apartment houses like the park over on West Street, 93 units, some of them are affordable, all the units count, so that's what they're doing. Down at the Legion, someone's thinking about buying that property and building apartments. The town loves those things.
You know, how are they going to be rented? Are they going to be?
Rental
there's about
units.
6 projects going up right now.
Rental
Apartments,
units.
They
but-
go on income. Based on income.
I know, but are they going to be people renting those?
Yeah, for sure.
I should think
It's
so.
full. It's full before it's finished.
Tony,
Yeah.
the housing authority is going, putting right now, 45 more units down at our place. Every one of them will be 40B because it's low income.
That's state.
That's state.
That's state, doesn't help us.
Yes, it
Sure it
does.
does. Everyone comes for 40B.
But it doesn't help us here to say.
No,
I think anyway, there's
So
no.
if you develop a house and you want a place to live, you know, have something down there, then you'll need it to live in.
Before you all go, I just wanted to say one thing. I did draw up a petition I have copies at the front here. I'll get a couple of more pens from Roberta. But it says, excuse me while I try to read it. We, the undersigned registered voters of the town of Medfield, hereby petition the Board of Selectmen to consider the housing needs of Medfield seniors by encouraging and facilitating the production of appropriate single-level homes or apartments and affordable homes between 300 to 450 with preference for Medfield seniors. That sums up in my mind what I think I'd like to see happen. So it's up here. If you want to agree with this petition, please sign and put your name and address and signature. And I'll leave them out on the table.
Can I ask one thing? We've been talking here, we're all excited, we want to do this. Who here is going to take responsibility to get it on the warrant? It's got to be on the warrant. So who's going to do that? We're all saying it's got to be done, it's got to be done, it's got to be done.
10 people to sign. All you need is 10 people to sign.
And that 10 people on this sheet here will get it on the warrant?
You get a warrant article.
Well, that's your legal
This is not meant to be a warrant article. This is just a petition to the select. I second that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Dan.
All we need to decide is what we want to do. That's right. You tell me that, now you have the warrant out.
I'd like to include some too for you. I don't think a lot of the people I talked to didn't want all 1 units. A lot of people want 2 units.
Jerry, how are you?
It is. Oh, I think it's.
Well, we're going to disagreement.
No, but don't make it all 1 floor because there are some others who like 2 floors.
Well, you ought to have one level's also.
They'll make it 1 or 2, like whatever senior program houses, they'll limit it to 1 floor. Some people really want 2 floor because when their kids come to visit, it's down in your head. They have no room for it.
Agreed.
Well, help me.
Okay, folks.
Let's make it to a
Thank you for attending. Please stop by, sign the petition. We have copies of a handout with summarized